Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jared Polly's Fragrance Reviews. Tonight we're going to be looking at a sensational fragrance from the house of Guerlain. This is known as Guerlain Vetiver. This is an EDT Eau de Toilette concentration, which came out in the year 2000. So this is a reformulation of the original Vetiver that came out in 1961. And I have heard from some sources that the original Guerlain Vetiver actually came out in 1959. Guerlain, as a house, specializes in fragrances, makeup, and skincare products and has been around since 1828. It is one of the oldest distinguished houses, and to many, it is considered one of the finest. This fragrance from Guerlain, the 2000 version of Vetiver, to me is one of the most complex and sophisticated Vetiver fragrances I have ever experienced, likely the greatest. It has an incredible development, and it has a very interesting scent profile. But in a lot of times, I would say when I smell this scent, it's not necessarily just the aroma, it's an experience in itself. There is another formulation that came out about 2021, 2022, and it's in a square bottle. I still have the longer bottle. As for this formulation, I am not sure of the exact date. So I'm just going to take it out of the package here. The other thing I would like to make note of, this style of vetiver is very different from Creed's vetiver or Tom Ford's vetiver, where those are a little bit sweeter, still very beautiful fragrances. But this one has much more of a vintage feel. It's much earthier. The vintage bottles of Guerlain Vetiver, where I live in Canada, even a bottle from the 1980s sells between $800 and $1,000 Canadian. Vintage bottles back from the 60s, like one of the first productions of it, sell up to $2,000. I've seen one in a antique mall. It was selling for about $1,900. I have never smelled the vintage formulation, just the 2000 version and the 2022 version. So I'm going to spray it on the back of my wrist, and we'll break down the scent profile. So initially, I get a very aromatic, grassy citrus, which has a very slight touch of sweetness. As it starts to dry down, the citrus becomes a little drier, grassier, with the vibe of high-end cigarette butts in an ashtray. And with the ashtray cigarette butts, I would say it's not repulsive. It's somewhat dusty, and it is appealing. Later on, the fragrance becomes slightly spicy, almost like a bit of a dirty leather smell to it, and a little bit pissy in the animalic vibe. It's earthy also and floral with rose nuances to it. So the scent profile is very complex, and it develops as the hours pass by. And the times I've worn this fragrance, I seem to catch different accords or different notes. And that's why you know it's a great complex scent. And if you smell a lot of linear scents and you take on something like this, it almost seems like you're wearing 3 or 4 different fragrances throughout the day as this fragrance evolves. Top notes are bergamot, lemon, tobacco, nutmeg, neroli, coriander, and mandarin. The mid notes are vetiver, pepper, carnation, sage, orris root, and sandalwood. And the base notes are oak moss, leather, myrrh, civet, amber, and tonka bean. Performance-wise, I got about 5 hours. So it's good performance. It's got nice scent wafts and scent trails. Final thoughts on this. This is definitely a vintage style scent that is not in the modern vibe. But this fragrance is still, in my opinion, ahead of its time. To me, this is the finest vetiver, which maintains its vintage feel while still being futuristic, if that makes sense. This is not for everyone, as it is has a bit of the old school feel to it, and the modern vetivers are, I find, more synthetic and sweeter, which some of them I do like, but this is an authentic. It has that earthy, natural feel to it, and this, to me, is the benchmark of what all vetivers should be compared to. So if you like this video, Hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Any comments, questions, or experiences you have with this version of Guerlain Vetiver, or the new square bottle, or the way back when vintage, which is over 60 years old, drop the comments down below and I will always get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.